So what is going on with Starfield? Earlier this year, the game was delayed, which is honestly fine. I think most of us would rather wait for a quality game than have yet another buggy Bethesda release. Just a few short weeks after that delay, we got the pretty awesome gameplay reveal and then nothing. It has now been over 5 months since the gameplay reveal, and in that time we have gotten exactly one 4-minute long question and answer video, which even that is now over a month old, and it's been pretty much radio silence. And just this past Friday was the original intended release date for Starfield, but Bethesda didn't so much as mention the game on social media, which has caused a lot of people to wonder, is Starfield getting delayed again? As of right now, the game is intended to come out in the first half of 2023, but with this silence, there's been a ton of speculation that is going to miss that release date and instead come out in fall of 2023, just like most other Bethesda Game Studios titles. This second delay narrative has become more and more widespread as Bethesda's silence has continued, but is this all legit? In this video, I want to talk about that. I have a bit of a different take on this one and even some evidence as to how I think Starfield could end up having a far more unique release compared to most other Bethesda titles, but even a bit of evidence as to when the new release date of Starfield could be, at least roughly. So Bethesda not really talking about Starfield for the past 5 months definitely seemed rather odd. The first trailer for the game dropped over 4 years ago now, but more importantly, they had a ton to say about the game last year and even earlier in 2022. We're getting videos pretty much every month or two, whether it be behind the scenes videos or even a bit of an insight into the lore and some of the factions of Starfield. But now, following the biggest reveal yet, we've had pretty much silence, except for one 4-minute Q&A video that again was over a month ago now. And though many people have taken this silence to be a bad sign or out of the ordinary, I'm not really sure I agree. Because for a bit of a different perspective, what if the Starfield marketing was just delayed till the typical Bethesda marketing window or even a bit later? Bethesda does a thing where they tend to show off their games very late. This really started with Skyrim, where we got our first look at the game just 8 months before it was released, but more notably with Fallout 4 and Fallout 76, where they only showed us and announced the game 5 months before we could actually play it for ourselves. And Bethesda was largely continuing this with Starfield, although we did get some teaser trailers in the past, and of course those behind the scenes videos. The first real and proper look at Starfield was this summer at the Xbox Summer Showcase, which if Starfield kept its 11/11 release date, it would have been a pretty typical Bethesda 5 month between gameplay reveal to when you could actually play the game. So despite this being a completely new IP in the background and lore not really being known about this world, Bethesda still felt it pretty appropriate to have a short reveal to release window. And what I think might have happened is this delay just delayed most of the marketing. They had the video done for E3 because it was only delayed a couple of weeks before E3, but the rest of the marketing that is inevitably going to come out at some point was just pushed back a bit. Right now, Starfield's meant to come out in the first half of 2023, and according to the Xbox Summer Showcase, all of the games shown off during that showcase will come out within 1 year, so before June 12th, 2023. So let's say Starfield is coming out on May 26th, 2023, because I just picked that day. If they follow that initial 5 month of more intense marketing window, that means we wouldn't actually hear anything more about Starfield until January of 2023. And I think this could be the current situation, or even we could see a shorter marketing period than that. If we roll the clocks back to 2019, Todd Howard had this to say when it came to game reveal to release timelines.
I like when you really see the game to when it's out is as short as possible. As short as people will let. 5 months, yeah.
5 months.
Yeah, that was as short as I was told anyone would allow me to do.
You would go shorter if you could?
Oh yeah, maybe a week just to get people excited.
Right.
To have those moments of I saw it, there's some trailers, percolates in your mind, and they're.
So you would rather just not even.
Don't hold me to that, all right? Because you should just cut that.
You'd rather.
I think
anyway.
shorter is better.
Yeah.
I think people see something. Like, when have you seen a trailer or a demo and said, I'd like to wait?
And although this interview is fairly old at this point, having come out 3 years ago, it doesn't seem crazy to suggest that Todd Howard could feel a pretty similar way today, that he may genuinely like the idea of having an even shorter window from reveal to release. Which, okay, at this point, that can't really happen. Starfield is fully revealed. We've seen several of the major gameplay features. But this could provide a pretty unique opportunity for Bethesda and really Todd Howard to only start showing off more of Starfield very close to the actual release date. Maybe even shorter than that 5 months. Like perhaps the next time we see an extended bit of gameplay around Starfield, it's just a couple of months before the release date. This bizarre timeline with a teaser trailer coming out several years ago and then the game getting delayed just before we get the gameplay reveal could provide a unique unique opportunity to maximize hype in as short a period as possible. It seems like it could be a unique opportunity that Bethesda could definitely capitalize on it. But of course, to go along with this, there is the debate, will Microsoft even let Todd Howard or Bethesda do that? Microsoft now owns Bethesda outright, so at the end of the day, they're the ones calling the shots. There's no real evidence that Microsoft pushed for Starfield to be delayed, but we have heard Todd Howard say in the past that this release date is written in ink. That was said in late 2021, and we saw the head of Xbox visited Bethesda Game Studios and seemingly saw some gameplay of Starfield, and then 2 days later, the game was publicly delayed. So either Todd Howard had a rather large change of heart in a few months' time, or perhaps Microsoft did play a role in the game getting delayed. But at the same time, perhaps Microsoft could also like a short marketing window, especially when you consider Game Pass. The last update on Game Pass saw it have 25 million subscribers, and that was in January of 2022, so that number could be quite a fair bit higher at this point. But what that means is day one of Starfield's release, at least 25 million people will effectively own Starfield. Those 25 million people will be able to play the game immediately with no additional purchase, assuming they actually have a console to play the game. I think this lowered barrier to entry could create a pretty interesting situation where a shorter marketing cycle could actually work really well to build hype in a very short period of time, where we get several looks at Starfield just a couple of months before it releases, hype goes to an all-time high, and then, oh look, you could just play the game right now for only $10 if you want to. But overall, the core point I'm making with all of this is, I don't think it's that crazy or really that concerning that we haven't heard more about Starfield over the past 5 months. If anything, I actually think this is pretty typical Bethesda, fans getting impatient and tired and just wanting more details, but they tend to stick to these relatively short marketing cycles. And it has obviously worked incredibly well for them in the past, so I don't see why they wouldn't do it yet again with Starfield. And if anything, I think Game Pass and Microsoft just offers itself as a really nice cherry on top to give you another X factor to make this even a bit more lucrative. But even despite all of this, we still have some outs. The Game Awards is just a few weeks away now, and this is a prime opportunity for a release date reveal and new trailer. Starfield was even nominated for the Most Anticipated Game Award, but even further, we do have this question and answer video that will be a part of a series, or at least it should be a part of a series. Bethesda has a dedicated channel on their Discord where they've been taking questions around quests for the next episode of this series. And even 2 weeks ago, we saw how one of the moderators mentioned them having plenty of quest questions at this point. So I wouldn't be shocked if another Q&A video is coming shortly. Personally, I thought it'd be coming on 11/11 to commemorate the original release date of the game, but that actually was a holiday in the US, so perhaps that's a reason for the delay. And who knows, maybe this new Q&A video could even end with Todd Howard answering the question, when is Starfield coming out? But speaking of, we also do have some clues as to when this release date will be. Recently, Matt Booty, who is the head of Xbox Game Studios, talked about the future release lineup for Xbox, where he had this to say.
You know, we've got these anniversary editions of Age and Flight coming up, and then we've obviously got Redfall from Arcane, and then you know, as we start to look down the road on the calendar, obviously Starfield coming up. So it's just an awful lot of stuff.
Which, if it's not just him misspeaking, seems to make it clear that Redfall will release before Starfield. Redfall and Starfield were delayed at the same time, and as of right now, both have a release window in the first half of 2023, with no concrete release date set yet. But there are some recent leaks that suggest Redfall could be dropping in late March. And if Starfield is coming after Redfall, that would push it at least to April and more realistically May or later. I mean, the game was delayed for a reason after all. Bethesda probably wants to maximize the amount of time they have to fix things. And Cinco de Mayo seems like a really nice looking date. It's going to be 5/5, May 5th. It's going to be a Friday, and it's even National Space Day in the United States. Beyond this, there have been some other things to come out on Starfield. There's been some LinkedIn profiles that suggest Starfield could actually have ray tracing support, which would be pretty cool. But in general, I wouldn't even be that upset if there was another delay. As of right now, I don't think there actually is evidence that the game is going to be delayed a second time, but you know, it still could happen. And if the game needs it, that wouldn't upset me either. I think Starfield's one of those games that Bethesda and Microsoft need to get right. Bethesda Game Studios isn't exactly coming off a super positive track record. The past few things they released is Skyrim like 3 times, Creation Club, Fallout 76, and even Elder Scrolls Blades. Having a big win with Starfield and going back to their RPG roots definitely seems like it could could be massive for the company overall and just boosting their stock. Not their literal stock price, but rather the stock in players' minds. But the same goes for Microsoft. Starfield being a massive hit could be huge when it comes to selling Xboxes, getting people to sign up for Game Pass, and it's not like Microsoft has had a ton of other wins over the past few months with their first-party releases. So in general, those are my thoughts on what's going on right now with Starfield. I've actually kind of been waiting a while to make this video. This delay speculation, some of the rumors around it popped up just a couple of months after the gameplay reveal and Bethesda being silent, but my opinion has largely remained unchanged that I wouldn't be shocked if we don't hear about Starfield for a little while more, because again, Bethesda seems to love this short marketing window. With that said, I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments down below. What do you think? Are you frustrated with the situation? Do you want to hear more about Starfield, or are you kind of fine with waiting to see the game until it's really ready, until you're really seeing the final product? Either way, as always, again, I thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I hope to see you all next time. Later.